Hey everyone, welcome back to My Rising Rose with me, Jack Morgan. I wanted to share with you something today about karma and energy and freeing ourselves from the past. So I'm going to share a story about something that happened to me this morning and how I broke free from something, and then I'm going to channel what I assume will be the Black Dragon, but we will see who it will be. So basically, yesterday, after getting back from the gym, I was feeling really great, and then suddenly just felt incredibly tired, and like I couldn't think straight. And I started getting this like pain in my chest, like around where my heart is. And I was a little bit worried about it. I thought maybe it'll just go naturally by itself. So I got an early night, slept through, and then when I woke up in the morning it was still there, and I was half asleep, and this kind of process dropped into me basically. So sometimes like spirit will just kind of come in with like a really good idea and kind of take over. I don't know, maybe you experience that, maybe you don't, but for me that's something that happens like sometimes, especially if I'm about to go to sleep or just coming out of sleep. I can be in this state where I'm almost on some kind of like spiritual autopilot, and what can come through at those times can be pretty wise and useful. And what came through this morning, like I was trying to do loving kindness meditation, so I've got a few phrases that I use to get me into like a very open-hearted state, and I thought maybe if I do that I'll start feeling a bit better. So I tried doing that, and then what happened was this other force, you might call it my higher self, or whatever you want to call that, kind of came in and was basically just like, don't do that, that's not the right solution right now. What you need to do is send karma back to people who have caused you harm. So the idea here is that even before we're born, we are being kind of infused with the energies, the opinions, the belief systems, the energies of other people. So whether that's our parents or our family members or our friends or our partners or the wider culture that we're in or the planet as a whole, we're constantly kind of taking on information, and some of that really is not helpful, and we are unable to really differentiate between the energy that's ours and the energy that isn't. We often will take energy in, I certainly do this, take energy in from somebody else and internalize it within myself in such a way that I can't tell that it isn't me. I can't tell that it isn't me. I think it's me. So that could be like a fearful energy, fearing social situations. It could be shame. It could be the sense of being bad that somebody else has put into me or to you or to anyone. And the way that I've been taught this by the dragons and by the goddesses of the enlightened dark is that humanity is almost like a knotted tapestry where we're weaving the threads of our karma into somebody else constantly. We're all doing this like back and forth, and our karma gets knotted within one another. And a little bit like Lord of the Rings, like the karma needs to go back to the person that it came from, a little bit like Frodo taking I'm revealing my nerd credentials here, but like Frodo bringing the One Ring to Mount Doom, like he has to take it back to its source where it was created in order for it to be destroyed. It's a similar thing with karma, where we need to take the energies that are somebody else's and give it back to them. In a sense, they are Mount Doom. Like, give it back to them, not just so that it can be destroyed, but so that it can actually give the lesson that it was intended to give. So let's say somebody feels bad, and then they make you feel bad so that they feel better, right? And then you feel bad, and that like is kind of inside you as an energy. Well, that energy needs to go back to that person because feeling bad isn't necessarily wrong. Like there's lessons that can come from it, and by returning to that person, it gives them the opportunity to actually learn that lesson, to learn how to hold a difficult feeling, to learn how to digest it within themselves. There's valid reasons why somebody, any of us, go through negative experiences and feelings, and we all have a responsibility to some degree to process those things ourselves, instead of doing some kind of toxic coping strategy to make somebody else deal with our own energy. So that's what I mean by karma. It's like somebody else's energy, somebody else's karma. Karma and energy, I can't really tell the difference between those two things. They seem very, very similar to me. So this morning, I got this guidance, which was just saying, like, you just need to send karma back. So the energies, the beliefs, the experiences of other people that are stored inside my energy field that I'm identified with, I need to send it back to people. And I was given this phrase to do that. And it was, with love and wisdom, I give, insert person's name here, back any of the karma or energy that they have given me that is not mine. And this is all like while I was half asleep, so it just kind of went in on autopilot, it just all started happening. And I started with my parents, and then with my siblings, and then with friends that I had from school. All these memories started coming back, and we're in a strong kind of Cancer, astrologically, we're in like Cancer season right now. So there's a lot of this kind of recalling the past, reminiscing on the past kind of energy, which is associated with Cancer. So I was just going through all of these different moments in my life with lots of memories just suddenly coming back, things I hadn't thought about for years. And just giving things back to people and realizing, oh wow, like even this moment that like I've been holding on to for ages, it was actually that person that put that in me. And I can give that back to them, and give it back to them not from a nasty place, like from a place of, this is yours and it's always been yours. And I give it to you so that you can finally have the opportunity to learn the lesson that was held in this. So it's partly like a self-empowerment process. It's like I choose to not hold this for you or for anyone anymore. I'm not a dumping ground for other people's unprocessed emotions. That's not why I came here. No one deserves to be that. That's a terrible thing to be. I'm not a trash can, so there's a reclaiming of my own power by releasing that, but also it being done from a place of wisdom and love, which is saying, for you to mature into a wiser, more loving human, you need to have this back, and you need to deal with it yourself. And this is something that came up for me in Egypt when I went there in February. And everyone who went on this trip, it's led by my friend Anna Oliveira. We're doing a trip in Glastonbury in October. Check it out in the link below. So when we went there, everybody was given a god or a goddess to kind of work with and embody while we were there. And I was given Sekhmet, who is like this kind of fiery underworld, goddess of the enlightened dark. So it kind of fits with everything that I'm about, really. And I learned a lot about karma through that trip, and that we do really need to give things back to people so that they will learn their lessons. There's a lot of people out there who just kind of throw their karma on everybody else and expect them to deal with their problems for them, mostly unconsciously, but all the same, if you're raised in a family like that, which I was, you can develop this kind of way of being where you just think that your purpose is to be a dumping ground for other people's emotions and unprocessed karma and energy, which just like snuffs out the fire of our being. And it's certainly done that to me for a long time. So anyway, I went through everybody. I went through loads of people, absolutely loads, you know, and after doing it for maybe, I don't know, half an hour, something like that, the pain in my chest disappeared. Completely went, and it hasn't come back since. And it was really bothering me yesterday. It felt like there was something in my heart. Almost like there was something in my heart giving me like heart palpitations. It was very uncomfortable. And since I've done that practice, it's gone. Like, it's completely gone. So I want to share that with you, and I want to share it in part because I think there's a lot of resistance to a practice like this, I think, in the spiritual community. I think there's this belief that, I think a lot of people who get involved in spirituality are similar to me, and they've been through an upbringing where they feel that they're supposed to be the dumping ground for other people's emotions. And then we'll take on practices like, there's one called Tonglen, which is a Tibetan practice where it's called taking and giving. And you basically just breathe in the negativity of everybody around you and then breathe out love and positivity to everyone. And that's a really valid and powerful practice, but it's not the only practice that we need as a human being, especially not if you've come from this kind of family upbringing. You know, and I was watching these videos of the Dalai Lama recently, and he's someone who would advocate Tonglen. And what I realized is how out of touch he is with the Western experience. He would like do loving kindness meditation, be like, okay, bring to mind your mother. Like, everyone knows, like, it's effortless to bring love to your mother. And I heard that and I was like, wow, he was speaking to a Western audience, and I was like, that's crazy. Like, he's so out of touch that he doesn't know that a large number of Western people will have their mother as the hardest person to send love to, right? It's not going to be everybody. Some of you will have had really amazing relationships with your mother, or you may have, like I have done, managed to go through enough of a healing process to be able to do that. But still, for a lot of people, that is going to be a really, really difficult practice. And if you present it to them as if it's easy, they're going to think that there's something really wrong with them, or that they're a really bad person because they can't send love to their mother. But maybe their mother was quite a screwed up person who did some really horrible things, you know? And it's not their fault. It's not on them. And in fact, what they should be doing is sending their mother's karma back to their mother, because the mother was using them as a kind of karmic dumping ground. You know, the impression that I get from the Dalai Lama and the relationship he has with his own mother is it's difficult for him to realize that that's the case for so many people in the West. But it's certainly my experience. It's the experience of tons of people that I know. It's really, really common. So maybe for some of us, the best practice will be this sending back karma, rather than the kind of seemingly much more kind of spiritual and noble practice of like taking and giving. You get to feel like you're this kind of wonderful saintly figure and all of that kind of thing. But I think it can be a bit of like a martyr complex sometimes, that we feel that we should just sort of absorb all of the suffering of the world, like, you know, and actually end up just kind of crushing our own spirit. So that's my take. And let's bring through one of the dragons. I assume Gorka, but who knows? And let's see what they have to say about this. Yanalayun. Kiane. Yanalayun. Shunarayu. Kiant stura. Ione. Kianayo. Ione. Uanalayur. Kione. Gunnala. Unala. Bear with us. Bear with us. Bear with us. One moment. Kiana. Just tuning myself in. I am Earthran, sacral dragon of the rising rose, terracotta dragon, like Jack's wall behind him. Some of you will be familiar with me before, maybe from Dragon Medicine, maybe from previous videos. I've not come through a huge amount, maybe just one or two others. So let me reintroduce myself. I'm also tuning myself to Jack's energy because he hasn't channeled me in a while and he's been on some trips and has evolved in certain ways so that I can come through in a stronger way than we've worked with each other before. So I'm just tuning myself into his system and to allow that to happen too. One moment. So I'm Earthran, part of the sacral chakra of the cosmos, linked to the sacral chakra of the earth and the sacral chakra of your specific body. I'm like the top soil of the earth. So that area just below, you're in the underground, you're under the surface, in the underworld, but just the top part. And if you know from the earth herself, you know that the top soil is very fertile. It's the birthplace of all of the plants that nourish you with their fruit, that create the fibers that make your clothes, until you all started creating your own fibers, but that's another story. But cotton, the plant cotton, is born of the earth. The fruits, apples, strawberries, whatever they may be, they are born of the top soil. All the flowers and the fragrances that come from these flowers are born of the top soil. These nourish you. Even the flour that you use to create your cakes, even the sugar that you use to sweeten them, comes from the top soil. So this is where you are nurtured from. This is the bounty of life that arises from this top soil. This is what I am a representative of. This is what I am a cosmic manifestation of. Imagine if that top soil and all of the wonderful things that come from it within your earth was extrapolated across the entire cosmos. All of the wonderful things that grow out of the top soil of every planet in this entire universe. Of course, in your solar system, it's really just the Earth. But your solar system is one of trillions. So there are many other planets throughout the cosmos that also bring forth great nourishment from either the top soil as it appears in your world, or an equivalent, something similar that exists in another place in life. So my point here is that I'm an embodiment of the bounty of the cosmos. And that's what I want to talk about today, and I want to link it back to what Jack was talking about with karma and clearing karma. So today he had discomfort in his body, pain, and he gave back the negative energies that other people had put into his body. He gave them back to those people out of a place of love and wisdom, wishing for them to receive that energy so that they can take responsibility for it and learn from it. Learn from it. Almost like he is giving them a fruit, returning to them a kind of fruit that only they can eat, that only they can eat and digest. And when they do, it nourishes their body, it matures them and grows them as a being. So giving back in that way, it's like, I cannot eat this fruit because it did not originate from me. So I give it back to you, who it does originate from, so that you may eat it and learn from it. It's coming from a place of love, because we want to live in a world with mature people who have grown enough that they can handle their own responsibilities and therefore be strong, capable citizens of this global community of which you are all a part. Now, in doing that, he experienced relief from pain. Relief from pain, so the releasing of bodily pain, right? A kind of freedom. And what it does, what happens is when you're taking on all of these other people's energies, they start to coagulate, they start to block, knot your own energy field, including within your sacrum and the pleasure centers of your body. So your way to enjoy food. You know, when someone becomes very depressed, they get this thing that is medically called ahedonia, which means the absence of pleasure. So when someone becomes very blocked, they can start to become depressed. They can start to lose the ability to experience pleasure within life. Even things like eating food, it stops becoming pleasurable. It might even become a negative experience. So by sending these energies back, you actually free yourself to enjoy the bounty of life. And though this is not, unfortunately, not well known enough within the modern spiritual communities, in the enjoyment of the earthly bodily level of life is itself a powerful spiritual practice. It is known in certain tantric circles and has been known for thousands of years within those circles, but within the mainstream spiritual scene, it is largely forgotten or even vilified, as if bodily pleasure is somehow something negative that draws you away from realizations of your own unity with life, your own enlightenment. Actually, this can be is a completely valid path to allow yourself to experience pleasure, to allow energy to flow through your body, is a completely valid path to self-realization and enlightenment. So to unknot yourself, you could say that enlightenment is the unknotting of the being. When you are unknotted, the realizations that one might call enlightenment dawn naturally. So a human body that is capable of actually fully embracing and experiencing the pleasures of being embodied is much closer to enlightenment than someone who is incapable of doing such things. Or maybe put it slightly differently, the earthly enlightenment is much closer to those people, because Jack has this wonderful system that he's developing of elemental awakening and looking at the different elements as different forms of enlightenment. But anyway, the main thing that I'm sharing with you here, obviously I'm going to drop in our tagline now, which is that the most important thing I'm sharing with you now are not my words, but rather my energy, and I hope some of you can feel it. Usually you do. Many of you report in the comments that you can feel the energy of us dragons when we come through. But that's really what I wanted to share with you. So let's just take a moment to be quiet, because I've been talking a lot. Let's just take a moment to be quiet so that we can digest what I've just been sharing. And what I encourage you to do is just bring your attention into the lower half of your body. So really from your belly button down, and just sense your connection with the earth, especially the top layer of the earth. The top layer. Just take a moment to feel that now, almost like your feet are like roots going into that top layer, and you can feel that top layer. So you are one with this living world. You are one with the soil of this world, and your body has its own soil, its own earth from which your creativity is born. The fruits of your creativity are born from the soil of your body. And that this process is much smoother when you are not congested with the energies, with the karma of others. So, do what Jack did this morning. Bring to mind people from your life. You could start from the beginning of your life with your parents, with your siblings, and move through your friends, your lovers, all those many people that you've met, your society, the world around you. And just set the intention that anything that is not yours, you give back from a place of love and wisdom. I return the karma, the energy of this person to them, so that they may digest it and learn the lessons from it that were always theirs. I choose to give this back, not out of spite, but out of wisdom and love, to create a global community that is responsible and capable of ushering in the dawn of a new age of human consciousness. I recommend practicing this for yourself. Re-listen to that phrase that I just told you, so that it becomes natural for your mind to say. Explore it. You can adjust it for yourself if you want to. If different words work better for you, you can modify it in a way that suits you. You don't have to copy it word for word. You can do it in a way that suits you, and then apply it. Take some time, sit, and just go through that. See who comes to mind naturally, who your mind naturally wants to bring forward as someone who has put a lot of their own energy and karma into you. and then just send it back. Oh, that was yours. It was always yours. That wasn't mine. Oh, it was yours. Okay. Well, here you go. I'll give that back to you because that's yours. And now it's what you do with it really isn't much of my concern. I hope that you're able to digest it and use this fruit that I'm giving you wisely. But ultimately, that's yours. It's not my mission. I give it back to you. This is the practice of returning karma that decongests your energy field so that you can engage in the fruitful practice of devotion to the enjoyment of bodily life. I hope that you've enjoyed this little encounter with me. I'm very happy to be back here with you, but I want to keep this video somewhat concise, and so I'll end this video here. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll speak with you again soon.